Chapter 5. Part 4. The dinner lasted well into the night. Little by little almost all of them were falling. Even so, at dawn there were quite a few still standing. Oriana slept in the Kendali's arms, under Anthra's watchful eye. Aris was talking to her cousins and the commander of the forest of Fambir. De Boek conversed quite drunkenly with King Dasmir, Gosberg, and Kush. Agnoruk as always had the ability to escape a little from the spotlight and was observing the sky. Princess Nazmarina was now dancing with Sebastian Darbical, the governor of the Red Mines. They made a good couple. It seems that you were out of luck tonight, Agnoruk. You have to know how to lose. To lose, you first have to want to play. Agnoruk smiled at Arian, who sat down next to him. We will have to go to sleep. Oriana is already tired. That's right, we have to prepare for the return to Almera. As the Baron shines today like never before. As always, the priestess seemed to guess the half-orc's thoughts. They both resumed the conversation they had had in the half-orc's house about the chosen one of the gods. Yes, a warrior so strong and brave that the gods offered him to go up with them, but he refused. He only asked to die in combat against a worthy rival. Agnoruk repeated the legend again. As the Baron may already be with us. Agnoruk turned his head at Aris. He can without a doubt. He can't be, as the Baron has to be the son of a god. Well, then he has not yet been born. Arian smiled, at the same time the jewel shone a little. Thanks to her we won the battle. Commented the half-orc, observing the subtle bluish glow. I think I was hasty, we would have won the battle anyway in the long run. There was you, Gosberg, we could turn the situation around without me causing so much destruction. It was a mistake. Asked the half-orc, surprised. I remember your words not to draw attention to yourself. Now we have attracted attention, but I think I have no choice, Agnoruk. You don't have to save anyone, Arian. Mercenaries has existed before you were born. Arian began to cry as he watched the moon begin to descend. I know who you are. The half-orc was silent. He knew, but no one had been told. It was a secret shared by his mother's priestesses, Gosberg and the Kendali. You are the son of the goddess of death, Thani. You are death reincarnated, that's why you harmed the Soul Eater. I felt it for the first time years ago in your first farewell, now I know it for sure. You are the son of a god. Agnoruk got up to get away a little. He was always running away from that fate, that's why he had retreated to the Mist Mountains. Arian, I don't want to be that. I have the impression that accepting who I am will bring misfortune to Mercenaries. Agnoruk, Mercenaries will follow when you leave. You will be what you have to be. I don't want to. It is to bring misfortune to everyone. It's no coincidence that we're both here, you remember. You yourself told me about it in Tripulia. Arian got up to follow Agnoruk, the half-orc walking nervously. It has nothing to do with it. You bring the light to Mercenaries. You heal people. Arian stood in front of the half-orc to prevent his departure. At least once in his life he had to face his fate, he had to accept it. I, the light of Mercenaries, have destroyed half a legion, Agnoruk. For everyone. When the time comes, Agnoruk. You will have to do whatever it takes, even if it means the misfortune of many. Arian was already speaking like Gosberg and the priestesses of the temple, with that tone of superiority that allowed them to decide the fate of others. Something that the half-orc hated. He carried enough deaths on his back to add many more. Necessary. You're the one who doesn't understand. In the end we're just toys in the hands of some capricious gods. Agnoruk gently pushed the priestess away as she began to walk towards the table where the rest of her companions were. You don't understand it and you should understand it. maybe one day you will. There's a lot more at stake than you think, Agnoruk. They were always with that story, the one about the greater good, but the cost didn't matter to them. Agnoruk had decided to turn the page. He paused to finish the conversation at once. I don't want to. Yes, I'll be Thani's son, but I'm not going to use that power to turn Shanaris upside down. I have 1 year left, and when I finish it I will return to Vale Nevodo. And I warn you, don't look for me again. Agnoruk finished the sentence. The conversation was over. It was time to retire to his chambers. He was very angry. He started to walk to leave when suddenly he heard a phrase from Arian's mouth that left him cold. Matalos a todos. He stopped walking and looked at the priestess in amazement. He only remembered one phrase from his mother, only one, and that was one: kill them all. Arian approached Agnoruk and stroked the half-orc's black mane, just as he remembered his mother's caresses. This gesture seemed to calm the waters between the two. The half-orc calmed down. They didn't talk anymore. They both approached the table. Sabu took his adoptive father, who was sleeping, the monkey. Agnoruk did the same with the dwarf. Arian left with Aris and an Ariana who was crying a little. The girl was somewhat upset about being woken up, accompanied by Anthra. Meanwhile, Vanis accompanied Debok, who needed a little help walking. Aris' cousins closed the procession, accompanied by Silkri and Loranthas and a few mercenaries who had stayed with them until the end of the party. Agnoruk let the dwarf sleep in his bed. The half-orc lay down on the floor. He knew that it would be difficult for him to sleep tonight. Every time he closed his eyes he remembered that rainy night in Vale Nevodo. And as he heard from his mother a single sentence. Matalos a todos. He opened them again. It was a very intense memory. He tried to sleep again, so he closed his eyes. Now he was a little older, in a palace full of flames. The smell of scorched vampire flesh flooded the room. In front of him was defiantly Bayanak, the king of the vampires, when that phrase came back inside his head. Matalos a todos. He opened his eyes a second time. Today was the third time in his life that he heard that phrase. It was no coincidence. Something bad was going to happen again. He spat on the ground. Fuck it, if you want to see Shanaris burn, don't count on me. He muttered sullenly as he fell asleep.